¿Qué onda, mi gente? Hello, hello. We are live. ¿Dónde está mi César? Ahí
Yo, yo,
está.
yo. ¿Qué
What's good?
pasó? How you
Buenas
doing? How you
tardes.
living? Buenas tardes, buenas tardes.
Chilling, doing good aquí en un pinche martes. It's hot, hot, hot. Está muy caliente afuera. Estaba a 100 en San José.
Yeah, it was hot. It's burning. Like literally, down here in Hollister, San Benito County, there's a fire going on because of how hot it's been. So we all out here, our planes go back and forth trying to put it out. So it's hot out here, folks.
It's hot out here. Even in SF, I mean, up here, it's never more than like 65, 70. It's like 80 right now. So these houses aren't insulated for that, so it's definitely a little sweaty up in here. um let's I got folks in the Twitter, I got folks in the Discord. I let them know,
Heck
so
yeah.
hopefully we get the crowd in here. We got a couple comments. Pinche Mexico, glad I didn't watch any of the games. Ya van a empezar, mi Jose.
Pues,
But that's what we're
same.
here for. That's what we're
Yeah.
here for, folks. This is Goal Sided. Technically, it'll probably be episode 111 because we'll put it on podcast as well. Pero 111, el de la suerte, ¿no? El de la mala suerte de Mexico.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be talking about Mexico, right? The title of the episode on YouTube, we put Mexico grouped. What's next? We'll wait for some people to jump on, but we'll give you guys our best shot at like what we think happened. ¿Qué pasó con este Mexico? De aquí a donde van, where do they go from here? Does Jimmy stay? Does he go? Do players stay? Do they go? Is 2026 just a fever dream? Like nothing's gonna happen? And do you just go for 2030? All of those things and all of your guys' questions, whatever you guys throw in the chat, feel free to throw them in there and we'll get to them. Let me pull up some stuff that I got. Ya para empezarle.
Empezarle para
¿Trae
darle.
chela? ¿Trae chela, César? Salud.
Chelita, salud.
Adriana Perez. I lost hope for Mexico. Pues todos, ¿no?
We're right there with you. Yeah, there's like so many problems with Mexico that we'll get into that it's like de donde empezamos. Es lo mismo de siempre.
Alcohólicos,
Salud,
no
Adriana.
es agua. Mira, nomás es agua.
Pura agüita esta.
Mineral.
Con un saborcito por ahí que tiene, pues, que está bueno.
Sí, sí. And pues mi gente, Brazil versus Colombia is right now, so I appreciate those that are joining and those that will join. Van 0-0. We'll keep you all updated on the scores too.
But Costa Rica just scored, so they're up 1-0.
No mames, apenas empezó.
Who are they playing?
Paraguay. No,
Paraguay.
Paraguay's low-key letting me down. Like, I mean, I understand they could win the other matches, but how are you
Calvo scored. Let's go.
The GOAT, the San Jose GOAT.
Ex San Jose. FC Juarez GOAT right now.
For real, didn't he got his phone stolen? Remember that? And then the social media people started backing him up to try to find it.
Hey, encuéntrame mi teléfono, porfis.
You see, they're like,
el del cel de Electra que todavía no lo pago.
Por favor, entreguen el teléfono. I lost and found. Por favor. No, yeah, but we'll see who wins out of this Brazil Colombia. Who gets first? Who gets second? I have tickets right now to Vegas this Saturday.
Real?
Vamos a ir al desmadre to
Let's
see whoever gets second place here versus Uruguay. Uruguay got confirmed first place over the U.S. after eliminating the U.S. Should we do an episode on the U.S.? Cesar? Nah.
I mean, we should.
Problema.
Yeah, problemas con la gente, pues. Que I mean, I know we're Mexico fans, but at the same time, like we keep it real in here.
Yeah, I'm impartial. I mean, so
sí,
I was on a live yesterday, folks. If you guys didn't see us with Goals TV, I went over there and I was helping out on the stream, and I mean, hasta me dolía. I mean, I feel like I'm a U.S. fan unless they play Mexico or unless U.S. fans start talking smack about Mexico. Like the rest of the time, me duele cuando pierden, or like, and when I see them doing well, me gusta. Pero
así la cosa.
Yesterday,
Costa Rica is up 2-0.
No, mames.
Let's go. I have him on my sheet, so I'm excited if they get through somehow.
Bruh, 2-0 al coser.
Yeah.
¿Dónde va a ir? A coser, Luis. That fool's cooking, por eso está cociendo.
Yeah. Paraguay has nothing, bro. They're like Bolivia out here.
Bro, Cesar Alcocer from Costa Rica, 19-year-old that plays at Westerlo.
I'm telling you,
Westerlo
Costa
and
Rica's
Bell.
cooking. They also have a 19-year-old center back from Alajuelense who was bodying fools the past 2 games. So I'm excited for him too.
Alan Mitchell. We need the
Michel.
ticos, our homies los ticos that jump in the streams every once in a while, say they can tell us
Pura
all about
vida. Yeah, let's
Pura
go.
vida. Those ticos, they're part of the formation of all these young footy players in Costa Rica. So shout out to them. They're
Yeah,
putting
shout out
in
to them.
work. Starting
Let's
two
go.
19-year-olds. Mexico can't even give the 20-year-old minutes. No, hombre.
Swear. Yeah, they didn't even give Chiquito Sanchez many minutes either. Like that
Yes,
tells you
right.
a lot.
25 años el güey. No le dan minutos. Maybe that'll get us right into the Cesar. That's what the vibe is going to be, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. Even if you guys didn't tune in, you guys will see this on podcast platforms. But we're going to be talking about what happened with Mexico. We're going to be going over the matches, and like we said, should Jimmy stay, and what's going on with the players? Do they have any possibilities towards the future? So maybe we could get started with the results. Cesar, just yesterday or antier,
El
Mexico,
domingo.
yeah, Mexico tied versus Ecuador to get eliminated from Copa America. Pretty anticlimactic how that happened. Then they lost against Venezuela 1-0 off of a penalty that Solomon Rondon scored. And then they beat Jamaica 1-0 and ultimately not scoring enough. They only got scored on once, but all those things coming into play, and they got eliminated. Right, they got eliminated by goal differential, right? Because the draw, and they had Ecuador had +1 and Mexico
Yeah.
had 0. So I think overall, just kind of lackluster. Dude, had like I don't how long has it been since Mexico's like been in like a tournament with like Latin American countries and they have a 0 goal differential. It's kind of wild. So maybe that'll get us right into it. Like, what do you rate their performance this Copa America? Like a 1 to 10, maybe.
If I had to choose 1 to 10, I'd give them a 3. The only reason I don't give the Selección Nacional a 0 is because of the 2 center backs, in my opinion. I thought
Okay.
those 2 center backs are the only bright spot that this Selección Mexicana has, which are Johan Vasquez and Cesar Montes. They're not like the best center back duo or the best center backs we've ever had in Mexico, but compared to the rest of the squad, I think those two son los que se salvan. That you're like, all right, well, you saw it out there how much Johan Vasquez was busting his ass, and then you saw the difference that Cesar Montes made in the game against Venezuela. As soon as he came out, we conceded that penalty. And yeah, it wasn't through the middle, through his side, but still, like, there's a loss of confidence once the one of those two comes out. So in my opinion, everybody else can not come back ever. But if you bring back Johan Vasquez and Cesar Montes, I'm hyped and I'm ready for them to keep going. So that's my score, this selección.
Damn, a 3, that's pretty rough, and to say that it would have been a 0 is even more rough. But yeah, that is, if there were silver linings, maybe we'll go over that in a second, but the center back pair being pretty good is not bad. Only getting scored on once the whole tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that tells you anything about the firepower up top and not being able to score. I give them 5.5, a 5.5, because I think I was maybe a little bit more strict, and 55% is still an F in class. So
Yeah.
I think there are some small silver linings if you really take a deep breath and kind of think about things. Like I said, they only got scored on once. They shut out Ecuador, which everybody thought Ecuador was going to dominate them. Mexico, in all honesty, played a much better match, and Ecuador, maybe because they just needed the draw, they went for the draw, and you could
Yeah.
tell. Ener Valencia was not pushing. He wasn't the same guy that we remember him from Tigres and all the teams in Liga MX. But we weren't expecting that. He's older, pero como que se veía más calmada la cosa compared to what everyone thought, that Ecuador was going to dominate Mexico at this
And,
level.
and and I think that was the key difference between like how Mexico did, because Ecuador didn't care about the ball, like gave the ball to Mexico, like didn't come out for the game. And it's like, I wonder if it was where Ecuador needed to win. How would have they have responded to that? They gone for the match. They probably, maybe they knew that Mexico could not go forward and could not score and just had no creativity, no creativity from the players or from Jimmy Lozano. So they're like, all right, you know what? Aquí está el balón and try. And
Yeah,
if we
but
need to go for the like, because like they really didn't try Mexico.
no, not really. I mean, 3 shots on target for them, 0 big chances for Ecuador. Mexico had 2 big chances, 4 shots on target, 20 total shots. That is crazy. Like, to be honest with you, if you had to sum it up in a certain way, Mexico tirándolo away, 18 total shots against Venezuela
Mhm.
right before that, and then against Jamaica, what they had a freaking 20 total shots against Jamaica. That's like close to 60 total shots in 3 matches, and to have 1 goal
Score
to show
one goal, and your left back is the one that has to score that goal.
a
It was
banger
a
of a goal. That's
banger,
like
a banger of a goal.
that was
Yeah,
that fool ni en sus pinches sueños hace el mismo gol. Like
yeah, I swear.
that was crazy, and it was a play that Mexico doesn't do often, right? Like actually handing off a ball for somebody to have a clean shot by Luis Romo. Luis Romo wasn't even supposed to be in the tournament at all. It's only supposed to have every
Mhm.
minute, and then for Arteaga to hit a banger, it's kind of out of nowhere. And imagine if Mexico wouldn't have scored a single goal all tournament, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, and it goes back to like there, like if you think back in like previous Copa Americas or Gold Cup or previous selecciones, you had the likes of Cuauhtémoc Blanco que te hacía una jugada, or you had a Borghetti that would get a header, or Luis Garcia or El Matador. Like you think of these players that were killers in the box, Hermosillo, like now Chicharito, Vela, like whoever you want. Now we don't have that. Like, who do we have? We have Antuna, Santiago Jimenez, who's killing it at club level, but it's just not doing it at Selección Mexicana. You have Quiñones, who's been good with America, lo bajó de nivel, and it's kind of like brought that nivel over to La Selección and hasn't done much either. Like, there is no firepower, there's no teeth in this Mexican squad whatsoever.
Yeah, somebody a Kickleball Pod saying Neri Castillo, bringing us
Yeah.
back to Neri Castillo, and it was Copa America.
Yeah, in like
For
2007, something like that, where he did that wonder play against Brazil.
era la Confederaciones, no, the one that Mexico won, no,
No, that was 99 or
that was
like
99.
2000.
Wait, that was hell
Yeah.
before. Nah, this was
No,
yeah, it was, and then Mexico lost in the final that year, no,
yeah.
and but
That's
yeah,
when La Volpe was there. Or no,
he had
sorry.
all those like worldy plays that he had
Yeah.
against Brazil. He looked like like a Brazil player playing for Mexico at the time. Pero like yeah, there's nobody like that like nobody was expecting that out of Neri Castillo, but se puso la camisa and then turned it on, right?
Yeah.
He was like, all right, like maybe I'm not that big at the club level, but ahí les va, cabrones. I'm gonna take everybody on. And Mexico doesn't have that piece. There was an interview with Alberto Garcia Aspe where he was mentioning that like in his team in the 90s, all 95% of the players were in Liga MX, right? Very few of them were in Europe. Hugo Sanchez was probably one of the few. But even though they were all in Liga MX, they would fucking completely die on the field for Mexico. And the way that I see that, I'm kind of like on it, like with it and not with it, because Liga MX is nowhere near the level that it was comparatively to Europe back in the day. I think Liga MX was at a much higher level. Europe wasn't like as high, like that big. The gap wasn't that big, and traen unos huevos los de Mexico. Like in all
Yeah.
honesty, and they had ballers. They had super good creative players, super good attacker nines, and Mexico just doesn't have that right now.
Yeah.
They have players that do well at Liga MX, but that doesn't mean well anywhere else because it doesn't work as a team. Quinones is close to leading the league in scoring, so is Antuna. But when you put them on the field together, they're not good players. They're not good
Yeah.
team players. They're not helping the selección. I think it's just not the right fit for the system. And overall, I think Mexican talent is kind of lacking. So that like I just don't see a solution here. So that like
Yeah.
Quinones is probably one of the best players in Liga MX. Now he's gone. Antuna for sure one of the best this past season, but they're just not doing it. And same all around. Luis Romo had a great tournament, but like it's
Yeah.
just like not good enough.
And that's
Um,
wild for us to say, right? Like Luis Romo had like he was presented with an opportunity when Edson got injured, and for him to not go into that spot and take over that midfielder, go box to box, defend and attack, set up the singular goal that they had, which was beautiful, beautiful setup. Like that's wild that we had to say, yo, Romo's actually did a really good season, a really good Copa America. Like that's how bad the rest of the players were this Copa America.
yeah, and I that's where we get down to like individual performances. I think this Mexico team is not a team; it's a whole bunch of individual players, and I don't think that they're at the level that they need to be, that the level that their stats show in Liga MX. Like Quinones is not as good as he's hyped up to be within the team. Mexico needs these players to be a lot higher level, and they're just not there. They're nowhere near the level that they need to be. In all honesty, to be almost like selección players, to be able to label them that. But then you look in the background, and I know a lot of people are saying bring in Marcel Ruiz, bring in Miguel Bautista, bring in or Alan Bautista, bring in all the kids, El Cotorro Gonzalez, right? But to be honest with you, sometimes these kids are getting outplayed in Liga MX by Quinones. Like if you're like, would you put Quinones or like I don't know Marcel Ruiz, open mind, or Jordi Cortizo, right? Quinones had way better stats than him,
Yeah.
and then he just doesn't show up. And in all honesty, it just tells me more about Quinones and it more about like the players behind him. They're probably even worse. And yeah, we're just not having that next level of starters. I don't think any of these players should be starting if we had better players.
Yeah, I saw a comment or Kickabout Pod said bring back La Volpe earlier in
Hmm.
the stream. And I'm like, yeah, I think La Volpe would be a really good fit because he kind of addresses that issue that we have, that who really is the talent. Like we can't just look at stats because Quinones is at America. And in America, he has whole bunch of other quality players that can beef up his stats. Like they're kind of like they're real, but at the same time, they're not real because of the players he has around. Like Alo Bautista, maybe if he was put in America or maybe he was put in a better team, he would do better. And stats wise, he would do better. So it's like, can you have somebody at the helm that can really pick out who are truly the best players? ¿Quién tiene más proyección? Can we find that next Andres Guardado? Like, bring him in at 18, 19? Or, like, what are the deep root issues that maybe the seleccionado is like, yo, cada equipo, you guys need to do this to feed the selección mayor? Like,
But that's just crazy because like in 2006 when Guardado was getting started, like he was surrounded by players that were better than him, and
mhm,
a lot of
that is
them
true.
in Liga MX or leaving Liga MX, like a Ricardo Osorio, like a Carlos Salcido, like Rafa Marquez was still at a really good level at that point. But like it's just there's nobody at that level. No, it's a completely different level, and it's crazy because back then we thought Mexico had a like I don't know the Stuttgart players. I didn't think that they were totally amazing, and I was even back then we were like, okay, we need better players, we need more players, we need
Hmm.
stars. We don't have a great nine playing like Guille Franco, playing like Matias Bosso, right? But like I've seen those memes where like we didn't know that we were happy, but like they were
So,
good times because like they were such better players, and I don't know, maybe they didn't have as much skill on ball like an Antuna who can cut like for days, for days, for days, but they knew how to put the ball where they needed to, right?
yeah.
And Antuna's being a meme because he's sending every cross over, right?
Or he
Um,
can't even get a single cross in, and like you'd give it to Cuauhtémoc Blanco y te la ponía donde quería. Rafa del Pardo or Germán Villa, like they were quality players. We used to have quality players, not the superstars that we would see in Europe, but they had quality at their feet.
Yeah, that's where it just gets a little bit tough because I think a lot of those players fit into the system and they fed into the system, which was Ricardo Lavolpe's play. Same with Miguel Herrera. I think they really fed into that. In all honesty, once we got to like Juan Carlos Osorio with the what 2018 World Cup,
Yeah, yeah,
it kind of felt like at that point it was just like kind of play to survive, almost like giving up that old school style of Mexico of being able to fight against whoever
Hmm.
and have that the jugadores que eran encaradores being able to beat somebody, right? In 2006, like I felt like every single player knew that they could do something against whoever you put up against them. They would be able to, like you said, Pavel Pardo, he would give you amazing balls. Ramon Morales off the bench playing for Chivas would come in and give you some amazing minutes.
Hmm.
But like your winger Salcido and Osorio, every ball was deadly in. It was on
Yeah,
the money. It was to your striker. And then to like, what I don't understand, like, what does Guille Franco, what would a Vuoso, what would those old strikers, what do they have on Santi? Santi is so skillful,
yeah,
but he's just not. He doesn't get the balls in, and at the same time, he's not being a difference maker because it's the Mexico system is just too easy to defend against.
yeah,
Nobody else is deadly, so just keep your four in the back. You don't have to even push up. Why follow Antuna? Antuna's gonna do his own thing over there. I'm just gonna wait right here, and nobody's gonna get past me.
yeah. Yeah, no hay quien irle al juego de México. Very stagnant, very predictable, very boring. Um, yeah, it's just no hay ni quien irle. Liga MX is the same. All the creative players are extranjeros in Liga MX and all these teams. So, like, what are we doing to be this bad, or what did we stop doing to get where we're at? I
Yeah,
think
I
that's the biggest question here.
I mean, one of the if we're starting to get into like what we would think solutions are, like in all honesty, I think they're Ricardo Lavolpe said it, and we said it on this podcast a bunch of times. If your team is not as good as everyone else, Mexico is not as good as anybody right now. To be
Yeah,
honest with you, if your team is not as good as anybody else, para eso son los sistemas, right? A 4-3-3
exactly.
is for the team that's better. If you can do a 4-2-3-1, if you can do a 4-4-2 for a high press, just because like your mid is not that great or something like that, you can do something different. And it just seems like Jimmy is there to die with the players that he has, and he thinks they're going to do better at some point. But I don't see that happening. I can see a coach coming in that says, all right, you know what? I'm not going to bring Antuna because I don't need that speed. What I need is a player that just naturally pushes up higher and isn't as fast. Tecatito Corona is not as fast as Antuna, but that dude knew to stay further up the pitch, get the ball, be deadly, get balls into the box, have a shot, caracolero, right?
Hmm.
Really smart with the ball at his feet. And I just don't think the players that Jimmy is putting in there are honestly fitting a system. I think he's just piecing things together. And I
Yeah.
understand because it's the best of the best, apparently statistics wise. But it's 100% failed, and I think it needs to be revisited. Let's see. Let's talk to the folks a little bit. Dice, vamos SJ Quakes también. No, eso no, we're not talking about them, man. Yas, la famosa Yas. Ya llegué, amigos. Tarde, pero seguro. What's up? What's up? We're just here. We're just venting con la raza,
Uh,
¿no?
Tomándonos una chelita, just venting,
Venimos.
talking about how much of a failure Mexico is. Y lo mismo de siempre, ¿qué se le va a hacer?
¿Qué se le va a hacer? So maybe let's go a little bit into it. We're saying a coach with the system, a coach
Mhm.
with an idea, a coach que impone. These were the hopes that we thought we would have with Jimmy. We thought Jimmy was going to come in and bring a good system, bring and be an Escaloni, be like
Yeah,
a really young coach with new ideas that can like bring change to the team. But in all honesty, it doesn't look like he's able to impose that, or he just doesn't have like the skill set, the thought to play footy any different
yeah.
than what's expected of him. And I don't know, maybe we could have seen it coming because he didn't do great at Querétaro, he didn't do great at Necaxa, and then he had a superstar U23 team for that Olympics and he got
Yeah.
bronze, and he's kind of living off of that.
Yeah, he basically got the job off of that. Said, I'm going to bring those players that que ganamos bronce in Tokyo at the Olympics, and I'm going to take them to the next process. And yeah, what also helped them was that Copa America that they won it. Mexico took their A squad, like everybody. They had Ochoa, they had Santi Jimenez, they had Luis Chavez. Like they literally had everybody, and they were barely able to beat Panama 1-0. And after that is when we got confirmed that he was going to stay. and not to Copa America leading up to it, we're like, okay, well, maybe this guy is not the man for the job. And now it's blatant and apparent that he's unexperienced for the job. No tiene sistema, no tiene liderazgo. Edson had to come down from the suite he was at to come yell at the team, got in the middle of the circle and just tiró manazos, tiró everything, and just seemed very frustrated by yelling at the squad. And it's
That's
like,
crazy.
that's what we want from Jimmy Lozano. Like, that tells you the difference that Edson is really a leader, a captain, that dies for that team. And then maybe Jimmy is not that guy. Maybe he was once as a player, but even then, if we remember back when he played, no era referente. He was a good addition to the squad, but he wasn't like, oh, that's Mexico's leader. Like, he wasn't. And I don't think he's brought that on as a coach. He hasn't learned that. And maybe he's not that type of person. But if you're not that type of person where you're going to lead your team, then you have to have a good system. And he doesn't have that either. So I think we fell on both of those pieces. And that's why we've seen this Mexico so unconnected and not knowing what they're doing half the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, from both sides of that, not having the system, and then not having that persona, that personality, that to light a fire, right?
Yeah.
To spark change just from his personality, almost like a piojo. But but yeah, I think he caught the Mexican Federation, the Mexican people at like a perfect storm. Everybody was so
Yep.
upset about Tata, they wanted a domestic coach, right? And I think it maybe it was necessary, but we've talked about this a lot. There was no set Mexican coach that was like next up, que era el cabrón, that was beating everybody in Liga MX. We've noticed in Liga MX, 90% of the coaches in the playoffs these past couple seasons have all been extranjeros, right? So, like, I I don't want to say like we jumped the gun or anything. I think they trusted him because he did good with the U23s in a natural process. He needs to move up, but like to if I had to give him a calificación, like he did terrible here. I think he completely got outclassed. He didn't bring anything to the table. I don't see where this goes from here. Like you said,
Mhm.
to culminate the entire tournament, to have your captain, yes, he's your captain, but to have a player come down from las gradas and to yell at the team and literally push him out of the way,
Yeah.
and then he just stands with everybody, like, dude, like, show some backbone. And like you said, he wasn't he was a very good player, but never stood out in selección. I think a lot of us just thought he was a very good free kick taker. We all thought he was like this mastermind, right?
Mhm.
Was gonna cook up some stuff, pero como que no, no.
Yeah.
Dice la Jazz, Jimmy necesita un cuerpo técnico que ya haya jugado antes y sepa que lo que pasó dentro de la selección y con experiencia no lo van a correr hasta después del 2026. That's for sure. Julio Davino, that's one thing I wanted to get into. He did say Jimmy is the guy. Plus, there's a lot of players que, verdad, no tienen nada que hacer en el equipo, solo están paseando. Mientras no se tenga un buen cuerpo técnico, las cosas van a seguir así. Yeah, I know Jimmy's crew was getting a lot of hate because he has a lot of guys that are forever coaches that I don't even think played professionally, right?
Yeah.
And the people saying if he's not the guy, he's going to be even less the guy if he's got nobody behind him pushing him to do better, to change. Um, and I don't know if that's a solution if they're staying with him till 2026. If this fracaso didn't stop it, I think he's for sure going because there's no what there's moleros from now till then. What are like when would they get rid of him?
Yeah, I think sí ayuda que México tenga un cuerpo técnico que sea experimentado y que sepa and have been there at the moments of like Copa Americas, of World Cups. Um, and I think Jimmy's cuerpo técnico could be perfectly fine for la sub-17, la sub-18, sub-20, las inferiores. But I think for the Mexican national team, you can have a really regular pool of players. And like we mentioned, have a coach who has leadership, who has a system, and make those players play that system, right? We've seen it with con todo respeto, Saudi Arabia and Renard, like
Mhm.
passionate tactical coach, and le sacó un susto a Argentina. Like Mexico está para salir de grupo every World Cup and every Copa America. Even with this pool of players, an experienced coach should have got them out of the group, in my opinion. I
Mhm.
think, yes, it's not going to help us overall in the long term because the head coach is only a piece of the problem. But I think even with the bad pool system, un coach experimentado would have had a better outcome this Copa America.
Yeah, I can see that too. Maybe let's go into Jimmy a bit. He's 5-4-6 in his 15 matches with Mexico. 22 goals a favor, 24 goals against. Like
Yeah,
none of that is positive. In all honesty, getting eliminated from your first major tournament. I mean, what is that Copa Ora was half cooked, my guy. Like, and he, I mean, keeping him at the helm. He's still has his job, honestly, because of that. If you would have face planted there against like a USAC squad that they had,
yeah,
I don't think he would be here. But now it looks like it's just inevitable. Whatever. I don't think Jimmy has a single notable win. He beat Ghana, who had some quality players, but in all honesty, it was a Molero.
yeah,
And then he tied against Germany's B squad, right? Like,
yeah,
and that match, in all honesty, playing against that quality of European players, even though it was the B squad, it kind of made me feel a little bit better about
yeah,
Mexico. But you want to see that and then be like, it can only get better, and it does get better, and it did not get better. We didn't even see that quality anymore, and which, yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
unfortunate.
crazy, and it's crazy that he's staying at the helm. I don't think they have a backup plan or a backup coach, so that's why they're probably not bringing anybody else in. And it's just a mess all over again. And it's gonna put us up until 2026, and in 2026 we have the World Cup at home, and we're just gonna be shitty. Like, que chingados estamos jugando? Why the hell am I supporting this team that doesn't care whatsoever? Like, it's just absurd to the point that, like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna root for somebody else. Like, it's
Who
gotten that
are
bad.
you gonna go for? A ver.
I don't know, bro, but I'll find somebody. I'll go for Guatemala if I have
Eres
to.
brasileño.
No, pero I mean that's the thing, right? Like, bro, like this Mexican machine of a media of a marketing team. It's just like no se nota en donde at what point we're like, all right, we've hit rock bottom and now we go up. Like, I feel like this is the bottom of the bottom, and there's still nobody has come out the following day and said, yo, this is absurd, or like no responsibility taken, like nothing from La Federación, nothing from Liga MX, like where are changes happening after being grouped like that?
I mean, we all thought that the fracaso at the World Cup was the bottom,
Yeah.
right? And then they get rid of Tata. Coca was the first one right after, right?
Mhm.
And it seemed like he was gonna do something, but he seemed like he was un coaching puesto by Iraragorri and co. And then all of a sudden we get the new federation of La Bomba in them, and then we get Jimmy. All of a sudden, and it really sounded like they were listening, right? It really sounded like they got rid of an impuesto by a certain org, a certain group of people, and then you put in a Mexican coach, like uno de nosotros there to get us out and bring us to glory. But it's 100% not there. And I mean, if they're ever listening, I think a lot of us Mexico fans would hope that they would listen to us right now in saying that there is 2 years left. There's about a year and a half left until you probably start locking down
Mhm.
players. That goes for a lot of players. I think that's why some of them are looking to go to Europe. But like, there is not a lot of time because things get into movements way before, and then people are too chicken shit to make any movements at that point moving forward. And if it's not happening right now that they get rid of Jimmy, it's not going to happen at all before 2026.
Yeah, we saw with Tata. Tata literally said he wanted out, and they said, "Nah, you're staying until the end of the tournament, the end of the World Cup." So yeah, I can see it happening. Si no lo hicieron ahorita, ya no lo van a hacer until 2026.
Yeah. So let's talk about 2026. Cesar. Let's first give me your thoughts. Does this have any chance of turning around before 2026? Let's start there.
Short answer, no. Long answer, hell no, nah, bro.
You see that? So like this, I mean, 2 tournaments back to back getting grouped, right? In group formats. Do you think they would get grouped in a World Cup? It's a bigger World Cup, right?
I mean, yeah.
everyone makes it through, no?
Yeah, pretty much everybody, top 30, top 25 teams are probably going to make it through. But they should at least make it out of group stage. And then from there, I think it goes to like round of 32, some shit like that. So like El Quinto Partido is going to technically be closer to La Selección. They'll get past that, hopefully. But at the round of 16, I think they'll bow out easily. By then, you'll get top 16 teams. Surely you're not one of them. You haven't showed it. You don't have young players that are coming up the ranks that make us believe that you will make it past that round. So that's it. Mexico's probably not going to be better until the following World Cup, if that.
Dice la Yaz, ya me dio sed de la mala, alcohólicos. Nah, we're just...
Salud.
We got to... you got to drink a little bit. Está bien caliente acá, Yaz, in Califas. Yeah. It's hot, hot, hot. And the topics are hot, man. So, Cesar, tell me, if you were La Bomba Rodriguez, if you were the head of the federation, like what is needed to turn things around ahead of 2026, ahead of 2030? Like what would be the game plan?
The game plan is having coaches that know how to develop talent. Like I mentioned before, ¿qué dejamos de hacer? Porque for me, that's the issue. It's like we see coaches en puestos. I bet you there's kids en puestos que sus papás pagan porque vayan a las mejores academias o jueguen over somebody who's more talented than them. For me, it's more of a talent, like the talent pipeline. Because there's a bunch of talented Mexicans out there playing, kids out there. Like, no me vas a decir a mí que 140 plus million people and you can't get 22 good soccer players. Uruguay has like 3 million people overall, a fraction of what Mexico has, and they produce massive talent like year after year. Peñarol, bro, they got plenty of like alumni that went through their academy that are star players. Like, how is Mexico not able to produce something close to that or have one generation that's like, oh, this is the golden generation? So for me, it has to be like, we have to find the good players, develop them. Once they come through, do we have coaches que los pueda to develop? Can we develop goalies? For me, my changes would be development at the youth levels. And then from there, even if we had in the early 2000s, like even if we have a whole bunch of ballers in Liga MX, that's still a better place than what we are now.
Yeah. Well, what does that do for us for 2026? Is that like throwing it out of the window or
yeah, I think 2026 is gone. Like for me, I think 2026, there's no way. There's no bright outlook, in my opinion, come 2026. I just don't see how this group of players that we just saw at Copa America all of a sudden go to Europe or get partidos, moleros que sean de alta calidad para que so they can practice and get better that way as a team. I just don't see it happening. I think a year and a half is such a short window. It's not like the U.S. men's national team where they just, in my opinion, they just have to change out Berhalter because he's not the guy. He's not experienced, because they do have a good pool of players that are playing in Europe right now that are doing well in their teams and that have been playing consistently together.
Yeah. The boy KDSJJ says, what do y'all think of U.S. in 2026? Which you answered. I think I agree with you. You said it short and sweet. Get rid of Berhalter. Put in a competent coach, a coach that has done it, that can really get in the locker room and tell these kids, I've been in bigger situations. I've been in the same situation. I know a lot of you guys are in Europe. I was in Europe as well, or I coached better players than you. And this is how you succeed. Berhalter is swinging up. That fool's punching way above his weight class, failed up to get that job. I think it's pretty simple for the U.S. and then just let that talent really do
Shine.
what it can and pick the right players, and I think they'd be fine. Um,
Yeah.
but here for Mexico, I would say I would probably break it down in two ways. 2026, realistically, I don't think there is very much possibility, like in any way, that they're going to do well, that they would do well, because it seems like Jimmy is set on the players that he has, and he says that these players are going to develop. They're all over 25 now. They're all 27, 28, 29. Like like if you're seeing them completely faceplant, there needs to be new players there. We saw the list of like the five players: the Chiquetes, the Marcelo Flores, Chiquito Sanchez got very few minutes. El Piojo Alvarado got very few minutes. So many young players that just got 0 minutes, zero chance. El Tala, right? And we were promised this generational change, but it was the same core players plus bench players that were very young. And if they don't get the minutes, they're not getting the experience. Yes, they're in the locker room, but they're just seeing their whole team faceplant. Um, so ahead of 2026, Jimmy is trusting this squad. I don't trust this squad, so I don't think there's any silver lining, any bright light at the end of the tunnel. I think the only chance they would have is if they truly saw this as a fracaso and they said we have to change 8 of the players. Malagon, fucking work on that physical therapy or whatever and never get injured again. Johan Cesar Montes there, and you're the only two that are guaranteed. Santi, if you want your spot, start scoring, start contributing, start leading the team. You need to be the leader at 22, 23 years old. Hazte hombrecito, hazte grande, do something, right? Because right now it just seems like you're being a little kid that if you don't get your goals, you're going to cry. That's not what Mexico needs right now. No superstars. But that's not happening. I like Jimmy needs to go to this is what I think. He would need to go to the teams, find me your brightest, your best 22, 23-year-old and give me an like an outlook for them. Are they going to be cooking at 25 in Europe? If you're not going to send them to Europe, I don't want them. You're not going to develop them.
Mhm.
That's a huge thing for Mexico. You said develop kids better, get them to 18 and then either have better coaches for 18 to 23-year-olds or get rid of them at 18 to 21. There's no use in Mexico selling players at 24, 25 years old for $11 million when that team in Europe has to teach them to play footy again. Why would I, if I'm European, why would I pay that much money for somebody that I then have to teach how to defend? Like every Mexican player that goes over there has told us, they've had to learn how to do it again. So I think Mexico needs to get better at all those things if for 2026 if they want a chance. Bring in new players because yes, these are the best in Liga MX, but they don't have anywhere else to go, anywhere to get better. Might as well bring young players and focus to 2026. Maybe they'll give you a surprise like the US did this last time. That wasn't their World Cup. This next
Mhm.
one's their World Cup. And now they're
Yeah.
cooking. So maybe if you bring in very young players like the dude that just went to Celta de Vigo
Mhm.
and a whole bunch of his buddies in 2 years, maybe we'll get out of the group and do okay. But they're gonna be the pride of Mexico, dog. All young dudes, imagine. And then in 4 years after that, they're gonna be ready. And I think that's the only chance that Mexico has. And hopefully get a surprise. Then in 2026 you do well. But with this team, you're setting yourself back for 2026, and then we're not going to be ready for 2030 either.
Yeah. It's a harsh reality. La Jazz, a ver, dice, para México está más complicado, faltan menos de 2 años y aquí el problema son los jugadores, que mientras se quieran casar con los mismos no va a haber progreso. Ah,
No,
what it is.
I don't get why. Yeah, that's the hardest thing. Está ferrado, Jimmy, that these are the best players in Liga MX because of stats, but I don't think he understands that maybe they're not the best for his selección. And if his head's not on the chopping block, if he has huge blunders like this, and the Federación is backing him, which I understand, sistemas, procesos, yeah, I get it. We shouldn't be firing people that often, but it's not leading us to better footy.
Yeah,
and
and a good example of that is Charlie Rodriguez. Like, Mans wasn't good in Jamaica against Venezuela, and he still se casó con él. He started him. I don't think he started against Ecuador, but even then, like,
he put
his
an
natural
Orbelin for him.
his natural replacement should have been Chiquito Sanchez. Chiquito Sanchez got like 20 minutes in this Copa
Dude,
America.
I don't why did like it seemed like Jimmy punished him. He was starting every game with his compadre Luis Chavez, who they know each other like the back of each other's hands. And then just because what he takes the vacation from Conca Champions, that's a glorious thing that he won the Conca Champions with
Mhm.
Columbus. Re- Give him minutes, dog. Freaking reward him. Play him every single minute. And just because
Yeah.
of that, he puts in Charlie instead. Like, and Chiquito was like third in that depth chart behind him and Orbelin, which is completely baffles me. I don't know where that decision came from. Um, but that's the thing. Like, why? Like de que one second, let me put this in fucking de que le yeah, I just don't get why he sees that Charlie completely face planted and he doesn't think like, okay, let me do something different. Let like if
I
I
mean, it's so simple in my eyes. It's so simple. It's like Luis Chavez and Chiquito Sanchez were champions together at Pachuca. They know each other really well. They did well in Copa Oro. Like, why would you not start him if your guy that you love, Charlie Rodriguez, that won you bronze, if he didn't cook against Jamaica, start Chiquito Sanchez. It was so plain and simple, so easy. Orbelin is not your box to box center midfielder that Mexico needed. It's like Orbelin hasn't been doing good whatsoever in the past 3 years that he's been in La Selección. He missed the penalty against Venezuela, and then you reward him by starting him the next game against Ecuador. Like, en qué cabeza cabe eso?
yeah, it baffles me, and I'm wondering what we're gonna see at these moleros, folks. Who do they have? Like Canada and New
New
Zealand or something?
Zealand in September, yeah.
That's disgusting. And well,
I swear,
ap-
that's
ap-
disgusting.
apparently it's just these squads because they're the only ones that aren't busy. Because I think everyone else has qualifiers, and then like I think Europe has their own Nations League. So apparently this is all that they could get. And it's going to be in the US. That's already confirmed, and
Rose
they're gonna
Bowl, I think, is New
oh,
Zealand.
Jesus Christ. And then all the
It's gonna be
posters are gonna be
packed.
there. It's gonna be packed. They're gonna get
All
all the
the
money in the
casuals.
world. And yeah, let's just start calling them casuals because that's what it is. Like, and
Yeah.
it's disgusting, man. Like the there need that same needs to be empty for anything to happen, but I think they already sold out. So I don't know. But like people go para hacer enojos, para pelearse, para rayarle la madre, to yell the chant, and it's just like, my guy, like, just stay home.
Stay
No,
home, save your money. If you want, watch on TV. Pero hasta ahí. Like, there's no need
compre,
to give this
cómprate un
federation.
36, güey, un pinche, una pizza
Y
en la
te va a valer
casita,
lo más unos $30 y ya estuvo, $40. Instead,
for
you're over here risking going to jail and parking.
bro. That fool that
Dude,
got his ass beat at the Ecuador game
knocked out, bro. He
twice.
got knocked out. Yeah.
Twice he got knocked out. I was like, Jesus, ya ni te da vergüenza. Uh, imagine pulling up to work the next fucking day. Like,
And gone viral, bro. Everybody knows what happened. Like, bro, that's so wild. It's wild to
yeah,
me.
but I think in summation, folks, we're not seeing a lot of silver lining for 2026. Not with this squad. No, no, no.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jimmy is capable of telling these players that you're not my guys, because it seems like he has, I don't know, some synergy in the locker room. Like they all think that they're good, like that they're fine, and that there's no break in the locker room. No hay pedo. We're all happy, right? They all go get birria together and shit, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not on the side of like Faitelson. Faitelson today was coming out calling them inútiles, right? And like it's also a job at the end of the day. Like I'm, I wouldn't disrespect him like that, but like there are players that are de nivel and there are players that are not. And I think Jimmy is respecting too much that he thinks that these players are and that he can cook with them. But you need realistic expectations. You need realistic outlook on things, and they're just not. The players are not the selección level, and maybe they are the best in Liga MX. Then you have to prepare other people to be better.
Yeah,
And if, in all honesty, Jinmi is not doing that because he's probably not scared that he's going to lose his job.
yeah,
And if there was somebody there at his heels telling him, dude, like if you lose against New Zealand in a Molero, it's
I'm
over.
dead.
But it's not. And I don't know. How does Duilio Davino, how does La Bomba Rodriguez, how do all these people not see the team and like put expectations that like, dude, y- you have the trust, risk more.
Yeah,
The players are not going to win you the World Cup. Can other players win you a World Cup in 6 years? Start cooking. Pero pues
yeah,
no.
and I think Duilio Davino needs to go too, in my opinion, just because Jimmy is his guy, and at the same time, like, ¿qué ha hecho él que digamos, oh, he's a great person to have a la federación, a great, what's his title, president of,
Julio Davino is like kind of like director deportivo, right? Kind of like
yeah, yeah, like, okay, hiciste, you did something in Monterrey won a couple, pero like we need somebody de more experiencia en esa posición también, alguien que le exija, como estamos diciendo, al director técnico de la selección mexicana, a las demás selecciones inferiores, because clearly Dilo Davino is not doing enough either.
yeah. And yeah, I don't see why La Bomba is not chopping heads. Like if you have a fracaso like that and you're not making changes, you look completely incompetent. You look stupid. You look like you're being played a fool. You're putting these people in these positions because you thought they were qualified, and they're not qualified. Um, bro, we all get reviews at work. If you don't do your job, if you don't do your job well, guess what? You don't get the shiny money, you don't get everything, you don't get nobody applauds you or anything, right? And then if you don't do your job at all, if you fail at your job, which in the sporting world, unfortunately, you can fail and you get fired, you get somebody better to do the job, right?
Yeah,
And it's just like La Bomba's looking like a fool with everybody underneath him that's not looking good, and we're not getting plans, we're not getting ideas. Um, Apparently, remember that big ass plan that said that they were gonna bring back Ascenso y Descenso? Now it's not gonna come back. Now they're saying
at all. It's eliminated.
now they're saying you can only go up to first division by paying and by having all these monetary requirements that you need to. That's terrible. And maybe now we're getting to the conversation of, does Liga MX really directly lead to the success of La Selección? I don't think the domestic league directly does. Like Croatia, Belgium has been called out that they have bad, not great leagues, but they have amazing national teams because they export so much. Uh, but here, no more ascenso descenso. Um, the youth academies aren't doing hot. They just lost Esperanza de Tolón. They didn't. They face planted, right? No more Copa Libertadores. They're barely about to bring back the 20 rule, which now in the footy world, they're 17-year-old, 16-year-old playing.
You
Like,
guys heard of Lamin Yamal, cabrones?
yeah, 21-year-old players are killing it. So like, I mean, 16-year-olds are killing it. Like, ¿qué te va a hacer uno de 21? That's old already, right? Like the prices for these domestic players. Mexico has its own market for Mexico players that nobody else would pay for. All of these things, they're going completely under the rug. They're sneaking in. The only rules that they're adding in, like the Ascenso piece, is all they have to do is with money. Nothing honestly to help better the footy world in Mexico. And it's terrible.
Terrible all around.
Y'all heard about Carlos Salcedo's sister? Yeah, I didn't get the full note, but I did see que falleció, que la mataron. That shit's gnarly,
Oh,
man.
really? That's
Mhm.
wild.
Yeah, I didn't see the full note, like what was going on, but I did see that she was murdered. It's crazy.
Damn. So that's why he's leaving Cruz Azul?
Is he leaving?
Yeah, he's leaving to because of personal reasons. I'm wondering if it's
Oh,
tied
like
to
leaving the
what.
camp and like taking time.
No,
Yeah.
no. I
Like,
thought he decided to leave in general, like leave Cruz Azul.
is that fool being targeted or what's going on? Damn.
I, I don't know, but that's wild.
Por ser rapero or what the hell?
I don't
Damn.
know. Had cornrows too, so I don't know if he said something in that rapping video that one time.
Cruz Azul's helping him leave. Dang.
Oh, see, yeah, that's wild. El estado que vive México, huh?
Look at tenemos. Probably to an MLS team. Yeah, I mean, that's your best bet, man. Like,
Yeah, he is Mexican American, so
yeah, be safe. But I mean, la inseguridad de Mexico, no? Like, I mean, just all these, just people. It's in the footy world. Maybe we're going a bit far away, but in the footy world, Mexico has the problem that money comes first. The personal interests of those in charge come first. I bet you their reviews are more based off of how much money they brought in rather than like
yeah,
the amount of success that the team had. If you can book great matches and sell out stadiums and your social media is popping and all of these things, guess what? Maybe we'll overlook that you're not doing great. And así
yeah,
no es la cosa. There's no demand for good footy out of Mexico. And if I were to sum it up, Mexico doesn't just does not have the talent right now. They're
yeah.
not a good soccer nation. I think we're losing the title of like a país futbolero. Like it's not looking any better for the future. The best bet that Mexico has is Liga MX becoming an amazing league because they're signing all these European players and just doubling down on that because they're not producing more players and they're not sending them to Europe. So yo no le veo por dónde salir.
They're just in this awkward, toxic cycle place where don't export, but also don't have good talent, but marketing is there, and it's just horrible for the game for those who love the game.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so
Dice Kickleball Pod, USMNT and Mexico are too comfortable. They need a coach to yell at them con huevos. Yes, I agree. But the thing is, the US right now has a surplus of players, of youth players, of young players that a lot of them are even going to Europe because they have those the abilities to the parents that can help them out with that. Maybe an
U.S.
academy,
passport in general. Yeah,
US passport, maybe schooling that allows them to go out there. I
the
don't know.
money. Yeah, the money to back them too.
Exactly. But so I mean US has dozens and dozens and dozens of kids in European academies right now. Mexico just doesn't have that. So the future is looking bright for the US. The future is not looking bright for Mexico. And they're making changes at a snail's pace. And if you can just look forward 5 years, you can see it's not going to get better. And we could have seen this years ago. And it hasn't started turning, and I don't expect it to turn.
Yeah, and it's weird because even with the pay to play system, the U.S. has been producing a lot.
Exactly. Money talks. People will still afford it, especially in the U.S. Right? We've talked about in Mexico también pagan, and there's vetados. Right? People you can make it all the way to the first division. What's his name? Cheto Leaño, that fool that was the kid of the Tecos owner.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Uh-huh.
was the starting center back for years with them, and that fool's booty. Jesus Christ. But yeah, the state of Mexican footy is not great. I know a lot of optimistic Mexico fans. If I could be as optimistic as I could be, this is the worst Mexico I've ever seen in my lifetime. Even the 2014 one that barely made it, they barely made it, but they low key sucked. But like Piojo coming in helped,
Yeah,
and they turned it around. But this thing is a whole different beast, and I don't see where they get better.
me neither. I still remember those Paul Aguilar and Miguel Layun crossing one way across a whole bunch of crosses and beautiful crosses and go up and down. That was good footy, and low key I missed that, bro, because this Mexico's just garbage.
Yeah, that's sometimes. And we would make fun of Layun and how booty he was and all these
Todo
things.
culpa de Layun back then. It's like We didn't know how good we had it.
and now lo extrañamos. But yeah, folks, let us know in the chat. We got a couple more minutes left. We'll stay on for a bit. If you guys got any questions, if you guys got any points about how do you guys feel, let us know. If you guys feel pretty optimistic compared to us, let us know what your guys' thoughts are. Some kind of meme things that I saw online says that a lot of people saying for silver linings, this U.S. the worst U.S. This Mexico the worst Mexico we've ever seen. Still got more points than the U.S. They had 4 points to Mexico's 3 point to USA's 3 points in Copa America. I think that's kind of a wild point because the U.S. had a guaranteed loss against Uruguay, which Mexico did not. But
Hmm.
I mean, if there were a silver lining, they only got scored on once. The back
A
line off of a penalty.
very superficial silver lining, in my opinion. Just because, I mean, like you said, US's group was a bit tougher. Mexico had a chance against all three teams, and yeah, I mean, they had the tie in their grasps against Venezuela, but just didn't make it happen.
Pues no se pudo. All right, folks. Let us know if you guys got any other questions. If not, we're gonna call it there porque ya está bueno el Brazil Colombia 1-1. Rafinha with the goal, and then Daniel Munoz second goal of the tournament.
Brazil
For
needs to lose para que mi Costa Rica tenga una chancita.
well, I mean, with that, Brazil would go down to 4, but the goal differential, Costa Rica still has to score. Would have to score 3 at that point.
Yeah, so I mean, if they lose, Costa Rica would need. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they still need 3.
yeah,
But
3 goals. Dicen Les Arceo, Cesar and Omar to take over the federation. No.
claro, I'll take over. Everybody's fired. Tráigame a Omar, tráigame a half the Discord. Y vámonos.
Tráiganme a Omar y puras pinches vibras. Que China su madre a todos.
Sí.
No, I mean, we've seen it, folks. People, Miguel Layun and all these people, they just don't want to get involved with the selección at all. They don't want to get involved with Mexican footy because it's not good stuff.
Costa Rica needs 6 points. Yes. I mean, 6 goals. What?
Dice quién?
Jazz.
No, I think that's Paraguay, no? Muy bueno su podcast. Costa Rica necesita 6 goles. I mean, to be comfy, maybe. No, pues sí, no.
Damn.
You said 1 loss and they both out Mexico and the US. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
That's low-key sad, but that's how the tournaments are, right? You only get 3 matches. I mean, it's survival of the fittest. Only the best survive. Dicen, mi gente? Do you think that if Mexico adopted the Grupo Pachuca style of developing players, the golden generation would come within the next 10 years? It has to.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. We're big fans of Pachuca's system. We've said it in pods multiple times. If you could just bring a whole bunch of young players, let them run and go at it, they'll learn. They'll be a lot better players. And just arrópalos con experienced players. But Mexico won't do that.
And it's closer to what they had in 2014 with the garra, right? With the just running everywhere. Like you're never gonna get out hustled, right? That's the big thing. Will Mexico overall adopt it? No. I had some high expectations with Andres Lilini, who took over the youth academy, the youth system for La Selección. But maybe they should have offered all the money in the world to Almada to do that. But
Or should have brought in Marcelo Bielsa.
he wouldn't do youth academies, man. That man.
I mean, no, but he'll make the first squad run their asses off.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you have an amazing coach at the helm of the first squad, he sets the expectations for the rest of the institution, even if he's not in charge, right? The 19-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, the 17-year-olds know if I want to make it, I have to fit the Pachuca style of play. I have to fit this like high octane soccer, right? Right now, it's not that. I have to run a way like Antuna, and I don't even have to be good at crossing. and I just need to be
Fast.
mediocre
Yeah.
at best.
Antuna became a staple in the senior squad because he would score against teams in Los Moleros. When they didn't know him, when they didn't know how fast he was, they just put a ball behind y llegaba Antuna y goles.
But I mean, but back then, yeah, but he was scoring, he was assisting, he was very dynamic, and he just plateaued, and he hasn't gotten better since. He's probably gotten worse,
He got that Gucci bag y fue todo
bro.
lo
For
que
real,
pasó.
this greed. Who do y'all having winning Liga MX? Cesar, who's winning?
El Ame, El Ame getting 3 in a row. What do you got, Omar?
If I'm being realistic,
I was being realistic, by the way.
I'm being realistic. If I'm being realistic, Cruz Azul, because they got some really good signings in the offseason. Losing Carlos Salcedo would be really gnarly.
Yeah.
But I do like El Azul if Anselmi doesn't get found out by the rest of the coaches how to kind of break that system that he's got. I would say keep an eye out for Toluca. Toluca
Mhm.
they spent like $20 million this offseason. They got Paulinha or whatever the hell his name is from Sporting. They got Gallardo who's gonna cook. We're all
Got
missing Gallardo now too. Goddamn.
for
Yeah,
real. They got
and
Pau. They got a Palmeiras man too.
yeah, really good, really good. I think midfielder. And I mean, my Chivas keep an eye out for him. But
Who do
I
you
mean,
got, Roger?
yeah, let us know.
What's the score? Is it still the same thing?
1-1.5. Oh, the second half just started.
Híjole.
All right, mi gente. If you guys don't have anything else, we'll call it right there. We hope that you guys enjoyed with us. If you guys are hearing this through any platform, we hope that you guys enjoyed as well. Let us know your guys' thoughts in our Discord on social medias. Same two top teams for last year's final. El
Let's
América
go.
contra el Cruz Azul. Otro
El,
clásico.
El America takes it again. Let's go.
No, but yeah, folks, if you guys are in here, if you guys don't know of us, we're a footy podcast and online soccer community. Join the Discord, follow us on all social medias, subscribe to us here on YouTube on any platform for more content. We got a whole bunch coming in. Liga Mickey starts this weekend.
Let's
So
go.
that's when we start turning it back on. So we appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.
Peace.
Peace.